Welcome to the second part of the SLIS 701 Introduction to Library and Information Studies module on Technology and Library Information Science. In the first segment of this module, I highlighted milestones in the development and introduction of the Internet into public libraries in the U.S. and evolution of the web. In this segment, I will explore a virtual environment with library staff on the ground, who will share their experience with implementing a virtual library system. The learning objectives for this segment are to examine the process, development, and components of a virtual library system. In 2012, 4 feet of storm surge from Hurricane Sandy breached Far Rockaway, New York, a peninsula community within the New York City borough of Queens. 4 libraries of the 62 branches in the Queens Borough Public Library system were severely damaged, and minor damage and power outages were reported throughout the 3 library systems of New York City. Within 2 days of Hurricane Sandy's landfall, a library without electricity or heat opened in Far Rockaway to distribute emergency supplies. On the 3rd day after the storm, a Queens Library book bus was deployed in front of the severely damaged Peninsula Community Library, providing information on emergency services, warming spaces, computer access, and charging stations to community members impacted by the storm. A year following the aftermath of Superstorm Sandy, Google partnered with Governor Andrew Cuomo and the New York State Community Action Association to donate 17,000 Nexus 7 tablets to communities still on the mend. Queens Library received 5,000 tablets to circulate in 7 storm-affected libraries in the low-income Rockaways community to assist job development and recovery efforts. Queens Library set out to create and customize mobile discovery and delivery platforms to interface with the Google Nexus 7 tablet, but the library was faced with a few challenges. Tablets require Wi-Fi for full functionality, and Wi-Fi was not easy to find. Telecommunication providers had been slow to respond to rebuilding the storm-damaged Rockaways. They sought storm-resistant alternatives other than the cell tower and above-ground wiring options found in this community. Additionally, such a large number of tablets had the potential to significantly add to the load of a staff already working at capacity in order to maintain the introduction and circulation of tablets, as well as for IT staff to maintain the tablets. Queens Library staff eagerly accepted the project. They saw it as an opportunity to bring sorely needed resources and skills into the community. Library administrators wanted to implement a tablet lending program, but hadn't been able to afford the investment. The donation provided the opportunity to pilot such a program. Calvin Watson is the Chief Innovation and Technology Officer at Queens Library in New York. Upon learning that he would be detained at work and unable to participate in a Skype interview we were scheduled for, he kindly provided written responses to questions outlined for the Skype section. I've also supplemented his response with graphics provided in his Wisconsin Library Services SlideShare. Through the implementation of the mobile discovery and delivery platform, Queens Library set out to extend services into communities that had limited resources before the storm and that were still impacted a year into the recovery efforts. The goals for the virtual library were to create an environment integrating the library's physical and digital collections, providing seamless access to resources regardless of the type of mobile device being used, whether a library member had access to Wi-Fi or was on site. The resources of the virtual library include health care, adult literacy, English for speakers of other languages, skills development, instructional trainings, as well as library programming events. To create a custom interface targeted to library member needs, the Queens Library IT department focused on operations and user experience assessments using a combination of internal discussions, member surveys, and focus groups. The IT team also employed what Watson referred to as a robust, agile development process. Agile process management is an iterative, incremental approach to managing the design and building of information technology products and the development of services. Birkinshaw identified 5 methods for putting agile management into practice. Using peripheral vision, keeping an eye on the margins, monitoring trends and innovation. Encouraging dissent, debate, and not being afraid of having your assumptions or beliefs questioned. Experimentation, simplified and flattened decision making, where heads of departments encourage those on the front line to make decisions. And finally, watching, actively waiting, and quickly acting when an opportunity arises. Working with the Director of Interactive Customer Experience and using data collected from user workshops, the IT team was able to arrive at user experience personas, or types of user scenarios, which were translated to the application development process. Watson outlined this in the following steps. Establish a baseline. Measure and detail current library practices as best as possible in order to measure improvement or decline in services. Watson acknowledged that this is a challenging process. Talk to library members and library customer service representatives to get a pulse of what is happening on the ground and to make sure it translates to bug fixes, feature sets, and the short and long-term goals of the library technology roadmap. Communicate with all stakeholders. Watson believes it is important to be mindful of the entire spectrum of stakeholders involved with a user experience design process. He emphasized that it is not just an IT project, that working closely with library services, marketing and communications, programming, and department heads ensures the release of the best product. Define the challenges and pain points in the process, as well as positive experiences. Mandate to do no harm to the positive experiences in the next iteration of the process. Define the purpose, priorities, expectations, and achievable goals from previous communications. Find fresh eyes to test and retest to get feedback. And finally, trust the process and release. Utilizing this approach, the Queens Library implemented a tablet lending program in November 2013, providing 5,000 Google Nexus 7 tablets to any adult with an ID and Queens Library card and to children with parental permission. Upon signing a one-time borrower's consent form acknowledging responsibility for returning the tablet in good condition with all its parts and the stated replacement cost, tablets are loaned for 1 month with up to 4 renewals, totaling 4 months. Queens Library developed a device management system in partnership with AirWatch that allows remote locking, erasure of content, and geolocation of devices to manage security and privacy issues. The mobile discovery and delivery platform was customized for curated persona-driven access to Queens Library resources with or without Wi-Fi access. The interface was standardized to ensure that library members and library staff experience working with a similar device. Tablets are configured with e-readers, internet access points, and apps delivering downloadable resources. Preloaded content on tablets focus on educational information, health and literacy, resources, job readiness, citizenship and immigration, book lists, and information about library programs. The tablets are also preloaded with Overdrive, Blio, Acoustic, Zenio, IndieFlex, and Freegal. Content is updated when devices are within range of library Wi-Fi. The lending cycle is such that units are easily reset. Personal data or personalization from a previous borrower is removed upon return of a device. This is usually accomplished in less than 90 seconds, depending on the Wi-Fi speed. The staff member accesses the settings and clears the cache. If the tablet was used to download e-books, the procedure disassociates the device from the customer's account. The tablets are then recharged. Unlike books or DVDs, the tablet takes a few hours to recharge and cannot be sent back out immediately. In 2014, Queens Library launched a mobile app from iTunes and Google Play stores, available for Android 4.1 or greater and iPhone operating system 7 or greater. This bring-your-own-device platform shares real-time library information. It also features a catalog search, ISBN barcode scanning to enable library members to check library availability of titles located in retail outlets, and an Ask a Librarian live chat service. The library also introduced a hotspot lending program, making 2,250 hotspot devices available for up to 4 months. In response to my final questions regarding what types of skills he thought library information science students should have to provide digital and mobile technology services, he listed experience with project management, digitization, metadata, discovery and access, and collections development as important areas to concentrate one's focus of study. He also said that he stays current with technological changes by reading and keeping on top of what's happening in general, not just focusing on library technology trends. The next segment of this module continues with an interview with Manuel Figueroa of the Web. In this segment, I will explore a virtual environment with library staff on the ground, who will share their experience with implementing a virtual library system. The learning objectives for this segment are to examine the process, development, and components of a virtual library system. Damage and power outages were reported throughout the 3 library systems of New York City. Within 2 days of Hurricane Sandy's landfall, a library without electricity or heat opened in Far Rockaway to distribute emergency supplies. On the 3rd day after the storm, a Queens library. In 2012, 4 feet of storm surge from Hurricane Sandy breached Far Rockaway, New York, a peninsula community within the New York City borough of Queens. 4 libraries of the 62 branches in the Queens Borough Public Library system were severely damaged, and minor damage Welcome to the second part of the SLIS 701 Introduction to Library and Information Studies module on Technology and Library Information Science. In the first segment of this module, I highlighted milestones in the development and introduction of the Internet into public libraries in the U.S. and evolution of library book bus was deployed in front of the severely damaged Peninsula Community Library, providing information on emergency services, warming spaces, computer access, and charging stations to community members impacted by the storm. A year following the aftermath of Superstorm Sandy,